All right, 8th grade, lesson 4.2, slope of a line. You need to begin with the warm-up, and I did already have a question, so let's look at it. Line S and line W are parallel. Both lines are translated 3 units down. Are the images of the lines parallel?
Yes.
So if both lines are translated exactly the same, would the lines still be parallel if they were originally? So then you would say yes. Line W and J are parallel. Both lines are reflected in the x-axis. Are the images of the lines parallel?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Both lines are reflected. All right, let's go over each of these. Shh. Okay, we discussed slope. You used it in the last lesson. The slope of a line is the value of the change in y over the change in x. See here, the change in y, meaning where we started in y to where we ended in y, divided by the change in x, where we started in x, where we ended in x. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll do a few of these. Okay, it's represented by this equation. The first, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Okay, we'll practice these. Rise over run. So if I look at this, my slope is my rise, meaning how high it went up and how far it went over. Okay, now on my screen, I would draw this differently. I would go this direction and then this direction, because rise over run makes more sense to me. So they did run over run and then rise. When you draw it, I would go rise over run, like that. It makes a little more sense. Okay? Any questions about any of these vocabs?
No.
All right, let's go do the example. So we're going to describe the slope of each of these lines and then find each slope. Okay? Meaning we're going to solve for the slope. So first of all, looking at this slope, is it going from left to right, going up or down? Up or down?
Oh.
From left to right. So if I start over here on the left and I go to the right, it's going up.
Oh, yeah,
Left to right. So if I start here, it's going up.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay? From
Yeah.
left to right.
Oh.
So this means it's what kind of, is it increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
So to describe this line, this slope, you would say it rises from left to right. Okay? So it is a positive slope
Positive.
because it's increasing. Huh? Okay? So when it in your lesson, it's going to ask you to describe the slope of a line. You're going to tell me whether it's positive or negative.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So now we need to solve for the slope. Okay, I don't like necessarily the way they do it, so don't necessarily look at that. So we're going to count, figure out rise over run. So don't look at theirs. Let's do it ourselves. So starting at the leftmost coordinate that we have, negative 3, 1, we're going to count the rise first. So we're going to go up. So from here I go up how many? 1,
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so my rise is 5. And then from here I'm going to go to the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so I rose 5 and I ran 6. So my rise is 5, my run is 6. Now your slope is 5 over 6.
That makes sense.
Total.
Good, because you're going to see this a million more times before you finish college.
Oh, yay.
Okay, so make sure you understand rise over run.
Run it right.
Any questions before I keep going?
No.
Okay, let's look at B.
B.
Starting at the leftmost point, the slope is doing what?
Sloping
Which direction?
down.
Down, which means it is a negative slope.
I may be a bit negative.
Okay? The reason we can look at that as a negative slope is I can, again, look at my first point, which is right here, and I go rise over run first. So I'm going to look at the rise. So I'm going to go, it's not up, it's going down. So I count 1, 2, 3. So my rise is negative 3. Okay? And then to the right, how many? 2. So my rise was -3, and my run was... Oh, they did the whole thing, which is good. I'll show you that in a minute. Which my run was 2.
I don't get it.
I know, I'm going to show it to you.
That happened
Did you understand the counting?
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay, you always choose your leftmost point.
Okay.
Oh.
Left. Oh, God.
It would help if you're not talking on top of me if you want to understand this. Leftmost point. Okay, you see that there's only 2 points. The one furthest to the left is this upper one. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, to count the slope, you start there and we're trying to get to the other dot. Okay, that's how you find slope. Try and get to the other dot on the line. I'm trying to get shorter so you guys can see here. So from this dot, I am going to count down 1, 2, 3. So that's why you see we put a -3 because I went down 3 this time. Over here we went up 5.
Okay.
Okay, and then I went over 1, 2. So the bottom is 2. Make sense? Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do it mathematically instead of counting. So let me get my whiteboard. Okay, so remember, hello,
Hi.
where's my marker?
Right here.
Thank you. The M stands for slope, don't forget that. And we have our equation, y2, write this down, minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so this is if you can't count it. This is if it's like a decimal and you can't count it very easily. So you're going to look at the 2 points you have. My first point is -1, 1. My next point is 1, -2. We're going to assign one of them the 2 value and one of them the 1 value. It doesn't matter which one. Let me write the 2 points up here. We have -1, 1 as 1 point, and 1, -2 is the other point. Comprende so far? It's a giant comma. I had to fix that. Okay, so these are my 2 points. It does not matter which of these I assign to which y or x, as long as whichever one I choose stays. Let me explain that. So if I choose y2 minus y1, my y values are these 2 right here, correct? It doesn't matter which one I pick as long as when I pick the x2, it's the same coordinate. So say I want this one to be my y2. Then this one has to be my x2. So that would make this my y1 and my x1. The math will work whichever one you assign. Okay? But since I chose this as my y2, I'm going to plug it in. So I have -2 minus y1, which is 1, and then over, and then my x2 goes first, so I do 1 minus a -1. Make sure you notice I have 1 minus a -1, so you have to put that point in parentheses. Okay, now I'm going to solve this. What is -2 minus 1? Goes further negative. Very good. When I have a negative next to a negative like this, what becomes?
Positive.
Makes a positive. So what's 1 plus 1?
It is 2.
Is that the same slope as we got when we counted it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So the math will work either way. Let me get my head out of the way. My head's not out of the way when I'm standing up. Okay, good.
Your head's not that big.
Any questions? Does everybody understand how you plug in the points here at y2, y1 stuff?
Kind of.
You need to, because you're going to see this a lot.
A little bit.
Okay? The biggest key here, right here, guys, whenever you pick whichever y value is your 2, that x has to be your 2. And then the other one's your 1 set. You just got to keep the coordinate together. Okay? All right. I believe you can go do the try it.
Okay, let's try it.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to find the slope of each of these lines. Super difficult. Okay, look at this A. Is there a slope?
No.
So that should be a real easy one.
I think
Okay?
it's
But we're going to write
zero.
the equation. Put this in your journals.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the 2 points?
Oh.
Negative 1 comma 5 and?
Negative 6. 5. 6, 5.
Okay, so 5 minus 5 over 6 minus a negative 1. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
What's 5 minus 5?
0.
Zero.
What's 6 minus 1?
7.
So 0 over 7. Can you have 0 divided by 7?
No.
It would just be 0.
It's 0.
So your slope is 0.
Wow.
On your homework, I do not require you to write all this.
Okay.
You can look at this and go, that's a horizontal line. Y equals 0. I mean, M equals 0, not Y.
What if it's vertical?
We're going to do vertical.
It's bad.
I did give you a hint at this when we were discussing vertical lines. I did tell you the answer.
Vertical.
Stop.
Vertical.
I want to call that one. All right, so let's do the equation.
Yes.
This one I do want you to write down. Put this in your journal.
Okay.
Y2 minus Y1, X2 minus X1. So we have 6 minus 2
Which is
4.
and 4 minus 4. What is 6 minus 2?
4.
What is 4 minus 4?
0.
You may not ever divide a number by 0.
It equals X.
Okay.
Mathematicians jokingly say you'll create a black hole.
Oh, I created a black hole.
Okay, you cannot do this. This slope is considered undefined.
Alright.
Bad.
Yeah, that's not defined.
So you would actually write the word undefined.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay, it's not 0. There's a lot of talking.
I agree.
Okay, this is your summary you should write in your journals. We have gone over this a little bit. So, if the slope is rising from left to right, what kind of slope is it?
It's
If it is falling from left to right, it's a...
negative.
If it's a horizontal line, what's my slope?
0.
If it's a vertical line, my slope is undefined. Very good. Okay, key idea. You need to look at this. Shh. Lines in the same plane that do not intersect are considered parallel lines. Non-vertical parallel lines have the same slope. So if your problem tells you you have 2 parallel lines, then you know that the slope in front of them has to be the same. See how the slope is the same? It's 1/2 here and 1/2 here. If the lines are not identical, then the y-intercept will be different. You see how this intercepts at 3? This intercepts at -1. So I can look at these two, without even the graph, I could have told you these 2 lines are parallel. Because I can see the slopes are the same and the y-intercepts are different. That make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Kerwin. He's paying attention.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's identify parallel lines. Example 3. Which lines are parallel and how do you know? Well, how are we going to know? Bless you. Aaron? Not Aaron. Josh? You're right next to him. We're going to find what? The slopes. We're going to find the slopes to determine which of these lines are parallel, because they all look like they could be.
Yeah.
So we need to solve the slopes for each of these.
No, I can't.
You can say why.
Because if you look on the third one, the y-intercept is not the same as the other two. The other two are -2, and then the third one is -3.
You can't even see the y-intercepts for the blue line or the green line. You can look at the x-intercepts, but we can't see the y-intercepts. But the y-intercepts just have to be different. The slopes have to be the same to tell whether they're parallel. So are they all different y-intercepts? Yes, because otherwise they would all cross at this point right here. Y-intercept is the vertical line, not the horizontal line. Okay, so we actually just need to solve the slopes for each of these. Okay, so let's look at the blue line. Set up your equation. Okay, so we're going to make the top one the y1 and x1 and the bottom one the y2 and x2. So when you write this, you're going to have -2 minus 2 over, what is the first number that goes on the bottom? -4 minus a -3. Very good. What's -2 minus 2?
-0.
Negative 4. And then what's negative 4? We have two negatives there, so it's negative 4 plus 3. Negative 1. When you have a negative divided by a negative, what happens?
It becomes a whole number.
It becomes a positive 4.
Oh, yes. And it's a whole number.
And it's a whole number because it's over 1. It concerns me the amount of talking you guys are doing. I'm not going to help you if you have questions. Okay, let's look at the red line. No, it's right here. Again, we're going to set the top to be the 1s and the bottom to be the 2s. So, we're going to write negative 2 minus 3. What would be our bottom number?
0 minus
0 minus 1. Very good. What is negative 2 minus 3?
-5.
And then what is 0 minus 1? Negative 1. So we have negative 5 over negative 1, which makes it a positive 5. Already we have a slope is 4 and a slope is 5. So are the blue line and the red line parallel?
No, man.
No, because our slopes are different. So we know the green line is going to become parallel to either the blue or the red line. We just don't know which. All right. So again, set up your equation. We have negative 3 minus 1. What would the bottom be?
3 minus 4.
3 minus 4. Very good. What is negative 3 minus 1? Negative 4. What is 3 minus 4?
-1.
Negative 1. Then we have negative divided by negative, which makes this positive 4. So which two lines are parallel?
Green and blue.
The green line and the blue line are parallel, and that's because the slopes of those are 4. They have the same slope. Any questions on how we did this?
No.
All right. Go do your next. Try it number 5, self-assess, and then we'll do our last example in a couple minutes. All right, the table shows the distance y in miles of a space probe from a comet x minute after it begins its approach. The points on the table lie in a line. Find and interpret the slope of the line. What is this picture? It does look like Godzilla coming out of the ocean. Or what is that movie with the guys in the ocean?
Ocean movie.
Nope.
In the what?
Come on, Aaron.
Wait.
Wait, say it again?
The big robots and the guys coming out of the ocean. It's a sci-fi movie. It's going to bother me.
Coming out of an ocean?
Well, they have to go kill them, and they make these big giant... Anyways, moving on.
Yo, it's still recording. Yo.
My kids know me. It's fine.
Power Rangers.
No.
Power Rangers.
No.
Go, power.
Shh, moving on. All right. So these are all the points that are listed on a line. Okay, so we have several options here. We could do 1, 8, 4, 6, 7, 4, 10, 2. We just need to pick how many of these in order to find the slope.
The 4 and 6. 10.
How many points do we need to pick in order to find the slope of a line? 2 points. Any 2 points. So we can choose any 2 points. You all could pick different 2 points on here and it would still come out with the same slope because it's a line. Okay? But in this case, we're going to choose 1, 8 and 4, 6. I will often choose whichever one I could do in my head. So, we're going to do 6 minus 8 and then 4 minus 1. What is 6 minus 8? Negative 2. What's 4 minus 1? So what is my slope? Negative 2/3. Okay, so it tells me to do space probe x minutes after the points. Find, interpret the slope. So it tells me that as the space probe is coming from the comet, every 2 miles takes 3 minutes. Or for every mile, it takes every 2/3 of a mile per minute. That's how fast it's going. And there's a picture of it. See all the 4 points? So it would not have mattered which ones we choose. What if I had chosen 1, 8 and 10, 2?
Same thing.
it would be a giant one, right? Way over here, way down here, but then I would reduce it and it would still become negative 2/3. Just so you're aware of that. All right. Do your last self-assessment, 10 and 12, and that is it for today.
Yes, ma'am.